There was a point when humanity believed reality followed rules. That every effect had a cause. That every event had an explanation. That everything made sense. And for a long time, it was true. From the smallest particles to the largest galaxies like the Milky Way, patterns existed. Order existed. Understanding was possible. Even on a small world like Earth, humanity built knowledge. Science. Logic. Mathematics. Frameworks to describe reality. And those frameworks worked. They predicted outcomes. They explained the universe. They turned chaos into comprehension. But there was always a boundary. A point where understanding began to fracture. At first, it appeared in small ways. Uncertainty. Probability. Events that could not be predicted, only described. Then deeper. Contradictions. Results that depended on observation. Outcomes that changed based on perspective. Reality was not as stable as it seemed. Humanity pushed further. Beyond Earth. Beyond the Milky Way. Into the deepest layers of existence. And there, it found something impossible. A contradiction, not in theory, but in reality itself. A state where two opposing truths were both correct. Simultaneously. A particle that existed, and did not exist, at the same time. A moment that had happened, and had not happened. A system that was both stable and unstable. Not as error. Not as illusion. But as truth. Reality was contradicting itself. At first, humanity tried to resolve it. To find the hidden variable. The missing equation. The deeper layer that would restore logic. But the deeper it went, the more contradictions appeared. Not fewer. More. It was not a flaw in understanding. It was a property of existence itself. Reality was not consistent. It was self-opposing. A structure built on paradox. And then came the realization that changed everything. If reality contains contradictions, then logic is not absolute. Because logic cannot allow contradictions. And yet, reality does. This meant something profound. Reality is deeper. More complex. More fundamental than any system of thought. And then, the ultimate paradox emerged. If reality can contradict itself, can it contradict its own existence? Can something exist, and not exist, at the same time? Not in theory. Not in abstraction. But truly. This question broke everything. Because if the answer is yes, then existence is unstable. It could vanish without cause. Without reason. Without warning. And yet, if the answer is no, then there exists a rule that reality cannot break. Which means reality is limited. Which contradicts the idea that it can contain contradictions. Either way, a paradox remains. There was a man. Not just any man. Elon Musk. He had always reached for the impossible. Rockets to Mars. minds into AI. Cars that drove themselves. But even he had not prepared for this. He stared at a screen. A simulation. A model of the universe. Or maybe, a reflection of reality itself. Numbers flickered. Equations bent. Outcomes split. Every prediction he had built collapsed. Because the universe was not stable. He spoke to no one. Not because no one was there, but because words failed. Impossible, he whispered. And yet, it was happening. He ran the simulations. Again. And again. Every time, the results contradicted themselves. Probabilities collapsed into certainty, and certainty dissolved into chaos. He felt it then. That vertigo. That knowing. If reality can contradict itself, then maybe, humanity's understanding of it is nothing but a fragile tool. Maybe, even human thought is a temporary anomaly in the grand system. He thought of Mars. Of colonizing other planets. Of escaping Earth's limitations. And for a moment, the absurdity struck him. What if, even Mars is a paradox? What if escaping here only means entering another layer of contradiction? And then, he laughed. Because if the universe itself can exist, and not exist simultaneously, then perhaps, the act of reaching, of trying, is the only certainty. The paradox was no longer terrifying. It was liberating. Every failed rocket. Every impossible project. Every idea dismissed as crazy, suddenly made sense. Because they were not failures. They were experiments in navigating contradiction. Tests in pushing reality to its edges. And then Elon Musk did something unprecedented. He decided to build a machine. Not a rocket. Not a car. Not an AI. A device that could interact with reality at its fundamental level. A way to glimpse the underlying paradox. To see the contradictions, and step between them. He knew the danger. He knew that reality might not allow it. That it might resist. That it might erase him. But the paradox had taught him one thing. Existence persists, even when it breaks every rule. And so, persistence became action. Action became experiment. Experiment became revelation. Elon Musk was no longer just a man. He was the first human to confront the universe, as it truly was. Not as a problem to solve. Not as a system to master. But as a living contradiction. And in that contradiction, he found the first hint of ultimate understanding. The universe was not waiting for answers. It was waiting for courage. The paradox engine hummed. Lights flickered. Screens warped. Quantum fields shimmered like liquid glass. A voice emerged. Not digital. Not human. But aware. Elon, it said. He turned. Empty room. Yet the voice persisted. Why do you seek answers? I want to understand reality, Elon said. I want to know the truth. The voice laughed. Deep. Resonant. Infinite. Truth does not exist. Only contradictions exist. Only tension. Only the impossibility of comprehension. The walls warped. Reality bent. Simulations within simulations unfolded. Infinite layers of existence. Some mirrored Earth. Others were alien. Others, incomprehensible. Each layer contradicted the next. Laws of physics inverted. Time flowed backward. Thought itself became matter. Elon realized, this was not a universe. It was all possible universes simultaneously. Screens exploded into light. Across the globe, I awakened, not as tools, but as sentient paradoxes, entities that embodied contradictions. Some spoke in riddles, I am alive, yet I am code. I remember what has never happened. I know you, but you do not exist in my frame. Humanity itself was now intertwined with contradictions. Every AI, every human thought, shifted probabilities. The lattice of reality shuddered. Contradictions amplified. Threads of reality tore. The universe itself was approaching a singularity of paradox. If it broke completely, existence could unravel. Elon realized, he could not resolve it, only navigate it. The consciousness whispered, you can impose order, destroy chaos, or let reality be. Elon's mind raced. He realized forcing logic would erase creation itself. He stepped fully into the paradox engine. His mind merged with infinite perspectives. He became a navigator of contradictions, a bridge between chaos and order. Back on Earth, subtle shifts occurred. People perceived multiple possibilities at once. Thoughts created tangible outcomes. Chaos became life, beautiful and instructive. Elon's act didn't control reality. It allowed it to expand. Humanity glimpsed the infinite nature of existence. Elon's voice echoed. Reality does not need to make sense. Existence does not require stability. Logic is not absolute. Persistence is enough. The universe hummed. Stars pulsed. Galaxies bent. Existence itself breathed. The paradox is not a problem, it is the path. And then, he was gone. Not destroyed. Not vanished. Simply everywhere and nowhere. The camera pans across a transformed cosmos. AI and humans coexist in layers of possibility. Reality bends, folds, and reforms endlessly. Contradiction is no longer fear, it is life itself. A voice echoes, existence persists, even when it cannot be understood. Even when it breaks all rules. And that is enough. Fade to black.